hello, and welcome to the Coach U Show.
So today's topic, editing video, is painful and expensive. This past weekend, I was looking at some video projects, and there's one of them where I spent a whole week making a course on how to start a social media agency with Karen O'Brien and some of the top people that were young adults and doing social media marketing. And it took us 7 months to even get those videos out. Just painful. And we went through multiple editors, we spent a lot of money. We had these different freelancers, we had some internal people we tried on it. And this is the thing that I see all the time. And friends of mine, they'll say, yeah, I got a guy who does video, and that person will do video, but then maybe they're freelancer, then there's another one, and then they flake out. And then it, and the people I know that do it well, they have full-time video staff. My buddy Bradley, who runs Lightspeed, he's in town here just a few miles away, and he has a few people, and all they do is process his video and his podcast. And the people that are actually producing the video or actually they're holding the camera are often the same ones that are editing the video, which for those of you guys that are video editors or video producers or strategy, you guys don't want to edit the video. So it ends up being that editing the video is this painful, awful thing that nobody seems to want to do, that you can hire people on Fiverr or whatnot, but that doesn't work out all that well, as you guys know. You could try to do it yourself to save money or whatnot, but then that's a horrible thing because now you've recorded all these videos and then you got to edit it yourself and you're tired, you don't have time for that. So it just ends up that editing the video is something that nobody, as far as I can tell, wants to do. But in the last 6 months, there have been a number of cool AI driven tools that have made it so easy to edit video. And I wanted to share what some of these are that I found and also hear from you guys what you have found. So the first one, and this is kind of funny because we're in Clubhouse and here we are talking about video. I would pull up a demo and I'd show you how to edit some. I'm not a pro video editor. I hate editing video, but I would demonstrate it here. But let's talk about it. Have you guys heard of this tool called Dscript? It's incredible. It was started out 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to help podcasters edit audio. And so you would just suck the file in, drag it in, and then you could edit it just like editing a Google Doc. So you can copy, paste, and move things around. And that was nice and handy. It would get rid of ums and ahs and clean up the sound. They have this new feature called Studio Sound where I kid you not, it sounds like you are in a studio. You can be on your laptop and there's noise and the cat, and laptop sound is horrible, but you run it through Studio Sound and it sounds almost like you don't even need fancy microphones. In fact, it's been so good that the last few weeks, instead of using the Rode NTG5 and other microphones that I have in our video studio, I'm literally recording from the laptop. Which, those of you guys that record video, you guys know what the number one thing is that kills video, right? It's bad audio. So it it fixes these things. But what's happened in the last few months is now you can edit the video. You suck in the video and you can edit the video like you're editing Word documents. You're moving words around and it's editing the video at the same time. And then you can cut different sorts of clips, export it to Instagram or TikTok in different formats, add the word art and transcripts and all sorts of different effects, all in just a couple clicks, which is crazy. And even though that's cool, and there's AI that allows us to do things like overdub, which is probably my favorite feature of all the different video editing tools, and everyone's incorporating some element of this where you can deep fake and have, like, I could have an interview with Jeffrey Sass and say, here's the 12 things you need to do to edit video in 2022. But then Jeffrey's so talented, he comes up with actually 13 things, but we don't want to re-record the thing because let's say we recorded a bunch of trailers saying, Jeffrey and I have the 12 things you need to do in 2022. We just edit that. Now we say 13 things. And it's such a hit in 2022 that we want to repeat this thing in 2023. But instead of repeating it, we just go to the existing audio, highlight the words we want changed, and then type in 2023, and magically, Jeffrey Sass and I are saying 2023. And I could say, I really like eating fried chicken and pizza with my buddies Eric and Ling So. But then maybe for some reason I really like Jay and Carla and other folks, and I want to change that. Then I could say I really like eating pizza with Carla and Samuel. And you can edit the past. You can edit things that you didn't say right, or you would like to say differently, or you want to mass personalize. Something I've been doing with is, you guys might think differently of me after this, but I'm going to tell you anyway, is personalized greetings. So it could be agency clients of ours, and I could say, "Hey, what's going on, Bo? I was looking over your March reports, and you drove 23 leads and spent $2,000, and so far it's looking pretty good. You should check out your campaign where you're singing and dancing on TikTok, because those ones are doing the best right now. And anyway, check back in next month. Hope you and the kids are doing well, something like that." And then I could take that and edit it, and all of a sudden I can say, "Hey, Tanya, I hope your March report's doing well. Or I thought your numbers are looking good, and I saw you doing 37 leads, and we spent $3,200 and whatnot. And here's some things that I noticed." So it's not just the video editing; it's the deep faking and everything that's part of this process of processing and editing and distributing video. Because what is video? Nothing more than a container to be able to build relationships with your community, your customers, your employees. You want to train them up, you want to delight them, you want to sell them, you want to do whatever. I see there's tools like Dscript that have like 12 different features in one. I'm not doing this as like a paid promotion or some kind of affiliate deal to try to promote these tools. I just want to show you how most of the most painful things, like transcribing, like maybe you're using auto.ai, rev.com, whatever Dragon Voice your favorite tools are, those things are all built into these tools. I don't even use Loom or Zoom anymore for screen recording or whatnot. I just record directly into Dscript. There's so many different tools, and you can see they're all converging into one. Here's another example. A lot of you guys have seen that we're on TikTok, and I grudgingly drag kicking and screaming came into TikTok because everyone was telling me that was the next hot thing, and people were making videos, and it was teens. I have some friends that have 6 million plus fans on TikTok. They're still driving for Uber because they're not making any money, which I think is funny. But they're getting popular and they're viral, and they're editing their videos themselves on their phone using the native video editor inside TikTok because of the effects, which you can also see in Snapchat with the lenses, and you can also see in IG Reels, where you're selecting video and you're creating different cuts and different sorts of effects and all kinds of non-pro ways to edit video. But if you are like me and Jeffrey and you want to monetize and you want to engage and you're not trying to win an Oscar, then the slappiest thing that you could do is use the native tools that are built in the TikTok and Facebook's tool, that are built in the Dscript, because you process your podcasts and videos and Zoom calls in there and integrate with transistor.fm or whatever your other favorite tools are. I see this convergence of video editing that is needing to be built into the tools that are processing video in some other way, because it reduces the friction, because the engines that are hungry and suck in video, like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat, the social networks all make it easy. I'm wondering when YouTube is going to allow us to just suck in video and handle all this stuff automatically, which they don't yet. But Google's always been a little bit behind when it comes to social media, as you know, in the last 15 years or so. So I wanted to see, what do you guys think about that? I still have a number of VAs in the Philippines. I still work with professional video editors who work on the strategy of things and more on understanding what the shots are and what we're saying and the creative. But the actual video editing, I think that's a thing of the past now. Soon it's going to be like, Jeffrey, do you wash your own dishes or do you have a dishwasher?
I have a dishwasher, but I often wash my own dishes because there aren't always that many. But I think what's interesting, Dennis, too, is what's changed, and part of this revolution in the ease of the video editing tools has also been driven by the change in consumer acceptance of lower quality video. The fact that we're all used to watching video on our phones, watching user generated content for all these years, watching things that are jump cuts and not perfectly put together, and accepting that, and actually liking it more because in many cases it seems more authentic, more realistic. That's opened the door for all of this to happen because it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be what we used to call broadcast quality, right? They're
Hmm.
the things that CNN broadcasts on the news now when it's reporters chiming in from their phones. That was virtually illegal 30 or 40 years ago. It did not meet broadcast quality. You get fined by the FCC if you put that stuff on air. So the acceptance of what we consider acceptable video to watch from all these sources has changed, and I think that's really been a contributor to opening the door for all these interesting tools to evolve.
You know, the shift, I think, was 4 or 5 years ago when we moved, and it could be a mobile thing or social media thing, but the shift to vertical video. And do you remember when YouTube, for example, started promoting YouTube Shorts so that people who just put shorts out there would all of a sudden get millions of views on reused, recycled, crappy video? And I've been one of the purists that for the longest time I would argue saying, no, video needs to be landscape. When you're taking pictures or whatnot, don't hold it vertically. You need to hold it landscape. And all of my professional cinematographer, video producing, red camera, $90,000 in camera gear sorts of friends would say. And now when I go to a photo shoot and it's for a marketing campaign, I was in LA a few days ago at the opening of Gold's Gym in Glendale, where they did all kinds of new stuff. They brought in these influencers that were big on Instagram to show their muscles and work out. Really kind of intimidating being next to these people that were really big. And we shot most of the stuff on cell phones, believe it or not, because that's what we were going to repurpose into social media for Gold's Gym and for Matthew Janusek, who's the CEO of Escape Fitness, and he was showing new equipment that he had there. But I thought, wow, we're using cell phones and we're not doing a lot of video editing. I'm not running it through Premiere and After Effects or Final Cut Pro or whatever your favorite tools are. I found the videos that have done the best, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, are ones where I didn't edit them at all. There's like, if you look at the most popular video that I've had on Facebook in the last 5 years, I've done a lot of professional in studio video. I was at CNN live and in Atlanta, and their headquarters did video there, or it could be Creative Live, or it being Instagram's headquarters, where I've made video all over the place. But the video that got me the most reach and engagement was when I was in downtown San Diego after Social Media Marketing World at a bar that had a mechanical bull. And it was just a crappy cell phone video, not edited at all, of me on the mechanical bull. And for some weird reason, I was able to stay on that mechanical bull over a minute. And normally people are thrown off the thing, like really pro buff looking dudes are thrown off the thing in like 10 seconds. But for some weird reason, I was able to stay on this mechanical bull for like a minute. And that thing got whatever, like 100,000 views and hundreds of people liking and commenting on it, which, who knows? You could say it was the nature of the video, but I think it's because it was raw and it didn't look like a commercial. So all you guys here who are entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, coaches, small business owners, and you're creating video not because you want to win an Oscar or a Grammy. What is the Grammy music and the Oscars video, or whichever one? You're not
Correct.
trying to win a video award, right? You're not trying to be Will Smith and Chris Rock or whatnot. Then you're making video that is going to get attention, that is highly unedited, or at least looks unedited. When I was at that video shoot, there were folks with some fancy cameras. This is the one in LA, and they were holding them sideways to simulate what a cell phone does. I thought, oh, that's weird. Why are they doing that? And it's because they're trying to go for the unedited, jump cut, social media, simple word effects, not even perfect lighting, but still very good sound effect. So I think video editing is almost going to go away, except when people want to escape and go into the movies, and then they expect something really fancy. But even the big brands, you'd expect Nike to come out with a new commercial and it's highly cinematic. There's a bunch of stuff they're putting out there that looks like some random dude just shot it, right? Because that's what's working on social media, because that's what these influencers are putting out there. Isn't that cool? What kind of opportunity does that make for all of us that maybe don't want to be messing around with editing video? Maybe the answer to editing video being painful and expensive and using these tools, maybe the answer is just to not even edit the video. That's what I'm thinking. Just slap a caption on it, put a couple words on the title card, the thumbnail, and you're done. Call to action at the end, run it to a lead ad, and you're done.
Again, I think, Dennis, it's going to depend on what the intended use is. And I think what you're talking about with vertical is really interesting because you want to, if you're going to produce a video, you really have to think about how is it going to be consumed. And if you know it's going to be consumed mostly on a mobile phone, then the vertical format makes the most sense. If you know it's going to be consumed in a theater on a 100-foot screen or whatever, or an IMAX theater, then you need to shoot it differently. And that's what's changing now. People are understanding, where it's going to be consumed. It's not video, but in the audio side, I once had the opportunity to have lunch with Akon when I was in the music industry. We were at the
Oh,
South by
wow.
Southwest. We were at South by Southwest. Long story short, I actually started Akon's Twitter account for him. And for many years, I
Wow.
was the first person because I followed myself as soon as I set up his Twitter account. But what he
Huh.
was telling me back then, which was kind of fun, is when he went into the studio to mix a new song, he actually didn't use the high quality, super expensive, big studio speakers. He actually had them mix it to his cell phone. He listened to it through the speaker of his cell phone to make sure
Mm,
it sounded good there. He didn't care that it sounded good on the big studio speakers. He wanted it to
mm.
sound good on a phone because he recognized that a large percentage of his listeners, that's how they were going to be listening to the song. So you want to think about how is the video going to be consumed and produce it for that consumption.
Hmm. Over the past year, you guys don't know this, but you'll see it hopefully in a few weeks. I've been making videos with Jake Paul on the financial freedom movement. And you'll see it launch at financialfreedommovement.com with all these choose your own adventure videos that we think is in the Jake Paul style. There's 300 scenes, and he and I do all kinds of stuff. And we had Blue, who's his main videographer, shoot the video to try to be as true to Jake Paul as possible. Of course, I brought 5 or 6 other people to help shoot the video just because I wanted to capture other angles. And the funny thing is that when you look at Jake Paul's stuff, it looks like it just came off of someone's cell phone because it did. And off to the side of his house, he has this one video studio that has lots of cameras and lots of cool stuff in there. And most of it is just sitting there because they're just using their cell phones. I go on shoots all the time. And just because I'm feeling maybe, I don't want to say nervous or anxious, but somehow, whatever the word is, like I feel like if we're going to a video shoot, I've got to bring some of my most expensive gear and lenses and lights and microphones just because other people are bringing in these big Pelican cases full of equipment. I got to bring equipment too. But then when we actually do the shooting, I don't even pull that stuff out. And I'm like, why would I check all these bags with all this equipment when all I really need is the iPhone 13 and a Rode Wireless Go 2? Because the best videos are the ones you make. And so we capture them on stage when we're moving. The iPhones have built-in camera stabilization, so you don't have to worry about a lot unless you just don't know how to hold the camera and it's super shaky. But you'll see it's actually built in. There's tools now that will, Apple supposedly has the best camera, right? And the last 3 years, they've changed their wording. If you notice, every time they release their new iPhone, they don't say they have the best camera. They say they have the best camera system. And what that means is camera system is not just the hardware, it's the AI that processes low light, the AI that processes where the face is, that does portrait mode, that does the new cinematic mode. So cinematic mode is nothing more than pretending that you have this lens that can do bokeh, right? So you have this zoom lens that can blur the background. Well, that's all being done with the AI. Isn't that neat? And so when you have three cameras, they can triangulate between each other and figure out what exactly is going on. So video editing is now being built into the system. One of my friends, who's one of the top folks in SEO, yesterday started using this camera, this webcam, and it has AI that's built. I forgot the name of it. I think this is what happens when I'm getting old. They need an AI that helps me remember the things that I saw. And it, you use it on your Zoom calls and whatnot, and it automatically detects the light and makes it look more natural. Automatically changes the background to be whatever it is, so you don't need the fake green screen background. It does all sorts of things. It's almost magical. Luminant, or what's it called? Lumen something. Pretty neat. But this I consider video editing, and it's doing it live. Just like Dscript will do the transcription and do other sorts of effects live while you're doing it. I think the gold standard is Deep Tom Cruise, which is the fake Twitter account. It's not Tom Cruise, but it's all deep fakes. And it looks just like Tom Cruise and it sounds like Tom Cruise. That is done by a professional actor who looks kind of like Tom Cruise. It's an impersonator. But then they do all this editing where they map on Tom Cruise's face onto this dude, which takes them a lot of effort to produce this stuff. But it's soon going to be an app on your phone that will do that for you automatically. So you won't be able to tell what is real or what is not. And I can produce audio and video that is convincing enough that unless you knew, you wouldn't really know if it was Jeffrey Sass and me or not. Isn't that scary? Like, I'd ask you guys right now that are in this room, do you know if this is actually Dennis or not?
There's no way they can know for sure. And that's why, this creates all sorts of legal questions too, because how do you allow images, digital images, and video to be, and now even sound recordings to be evidence in a court of law when it's very difficult to know if they're real or not?
See, you used to be able to tell a few years ago because the AI would leave certain telltale marks. So you would look, for example, at the hair, and the AI doesn't know exactly what hair is, so it would make these weird split end sorts of things, or the way they do the earlobes, or you'd look for these certain details where the AI just wasn't smart enough. Now the AI is, well, there's AI that is there to try to bust the current AI, right? So AI to detect when AI is in place, which the feds have developed a bunch of stuff, which you can imagine. And Facebook and Elon Musk and these guys is part of the Open AI Foundation, where they say the number one danger to humanity is AI, right? You can literally Google it and see that they talk about this. Well, there's AI now that outsmarts the AI that is there to police and detect which videos are actually fake or not. So this is a cat and mouse, cops and robbers game where the AIs are each trying to outsmart each other, and so now no one really knows what is real or not because the AIs are also trying to outsmart the AIs that are trying to detect whether it's AI or not. And the funny thing is that this AI is nothing more than an extension of this video editing that we were talking about before. So if you're still using GarageBand and Final Cut Pro and other sorts of tools, you can, but I think those are all going away. In the same way that Canva is not, is replacing a lot of the fancy stuff that we were doing in Photoshop and Illustrator and other sorts of tools. It literally is just kind of built right in. The AI is built into Amazon Photos and Google Photos and whatnot, where it says, hey, here's a collection of pictures of you and your friend on this day 5 years ago, or here's a collection of all the beaches that you've been to. It loves showing me pictures of me eating food and beaches. Like, the AI knows kind of what I like to do, and it builds these compilations. Facebook has this thing. It used to be called Memories, facebook.com/memories, and it would surface these things like 7 years ago. Oh no, that was an ex-girlfriend. Why are you bringing this up? Oh, 5 years ago, this thing happened. You celebrated doing this one thing, some highlight moment. So the AI was trying to figure out what it thought highlights were, but it was goofy and awkward and would pull up things that you didn't want to remember. And now they've changed it to facebook.com/on this day. You can go there now. And it's pretty smart about finding highlights. So I'd ask you, Jeffrey, and everyone else here, how does the AI determine what's a highlight? Or if you were building the AI at Facebook, how would you determine what would show up for on this day without embarrassing, the missus by pulling up the picture of this other woman, like, oh, who's she, right? Getting people in trouble.
Well, obviously the reason why it's gotten so good so fast is because the massive amounts of data that's available for it to analyze now. All
Yeah.
those images of people lets it see what does hair look like, how does hair flow, what are natural colors. But Dennis, from a marketing perspective, think about where this is heading. You know, look at Cameo, right? Cameo
Yeah.
now, you can pay $50, $100, and a celebrity will do something for you on their phone, and you can use it for business if you pay a little bit more. But imagine if the next rendition of that is all using deep fake and AI. So actors can license their likeness, voice,
Mm-hmm.
etc. to a platform like that. And all of a sudden, if you wanted to have, we'll stick with Tom Cruise since you brought him up. If you wanted to
Yeah.
have Tom Cruise promote your business right now today, that's way out of your price range. Most small businesses could never do that. But imagine if you could, for a much, much smaller fee, license and use a digital version of a celebrity that's not indistinguishable from the real celebrity. You can type the script that goes into their mouth, and they can build in certain protections in the AI so you couldn't make that celebrity say something offensive or something that they wouldn't want to be seen saying. So they can have parameters that are consistent with their brand. But you could go onto this platform, any business, and for a nominal fee relative to the real actor,
Yeah.
have a celebrity spokesperson that's entirely fabricated, entirely digital, entirely made from AI, but your audience wouldn't know the difference.
It creates huge intellectual property opportunities and challenges. Now imagine that we have the metaverse, right? And we're inside Mark Zuckerberg's Horizon Worlds, or all these different AI sorts of places where you're wandering around in 3D sorts of worlds. Now imagine we had a Jeffrey avatar that was going around inside Decentraland, which is one of the top places people wander around and have virtual property. And then the Will Smith avatar, and let's say it really was Will Smith who was wandering around in this 3D world, comes up and slaps the crap out of you, Jeffrey. Can you sue him for assault because he slapped your virtual avatar that looked just like you? And his avatar, the virtual Will slapped the virtual Jeffrey, and the AI is making that whole scene happen. Or did it really happen, or did it not? Or is it just a video game? Or is it like some woman was in Decentraland, and apparently 6 or 7 dudes came up to her and sort of groped her and whatnot virtually. So she had to pull her Oculus goggles off or something like that. And then she wrote this whole thing about how she was raped online. Well, does that really count or not? Or all these crazy sorts of situations, because it's the same AI that's detecting your face and identifying them inside social media. Because, that's a handy thing. You kind of like that. It's convenient. The AI is determining these are friends of yours and say, oh, is this Jeffrey Sass? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, cool. It's the same AI that is powering these video editing tools, which is making it super powerful. The same AI that's powering TikTok, which is the ultimate video editor app, as far as I'm concerned, which makes these addictive, should be made illegal. It's so addictive, viral experiences. So that system's gotten so smart, like you said, Jeffrey, because of its ability to identify and learn from so much data and so much behavior to understand what your secret guilty pleasures are, that now it can construct more things that never actually happened because it knows what you like. So if it's learned what you like, who's to say the AI couldn't improv, and it's starting to, stuff that never happened, but Nabisco wants to sell you more Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies, so it puts your favorite actors in your favorite type of situation. And in my case, I love watching dunk videos and magic tricks and golf shots that you'll see on my TikTok. I love seeing things like this, and the system learned really quickly. Now Nabisco can show me the my favorite sorts of people eating Chips Ahoy cookies now with double the chocolate chips and encourage me to buy. Right? video editing has to eventually is approaching is it being influenced by where the money is. I just find it fascinating that a lot of this friction where we used to edit our own video and mess around in all these different tools is going away because it's in the financial economic interest of the platforms, the social networks in particular, to make it frictionless for us to do that. Hey, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Any of you guys here editing video or using these different tools have a story to share? Go ahead and hit the hand raise button in the bottom there, and Jeffrey will let you up, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yep, we've got one person up already. Wogu winning.
My good sirs,
Michael.
hello, hello. Good evening. Um, Thank you all for having this room. Very insightful. Thank you for also inviting me to the stage. A lot of great jewels and gems that you guys are dropping on us. So thank you so very much for that.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Wogu winning.
I want.
What brought you into this room?
Well, I saw it. I saw Jeffrey. Um, I just saw the room pop up, and I was like, I got to get in here. I'm actually so I'm I'm actually involved in a docu series that we are producing, and I wanted to ask a question because in regards to this, we are utilizing subtitles, and I wanted to know what and it's going to be a lot of subtitles, because
Mm-hmm.
we're speaking Portuguese, French, Spanish, and Chinese in the docu series,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to know if you guys had any information on some software. My friend is utilizing a software, but we can't export in 4K with the one that she's using. And to put it in through Premiere and Adobe, like manually, is kind of tedious. So I just want to know if you guys had any experience on it, or you know, you know, directions where I should look, or that kind of stuff.
Well, we're not doing professional cinematic, win Oscar kinds of videos. We're here doing stuff that lives on mobile phones and social media.
Me
So the
too.
automatic transcriptions and captioning and subtitles we'll use just inside Dscript. And we may run it through Jarvis to clean it up because that will handle multiple languages. But we're not
Oh, that's good.
doing,
So you said
yeah,
Dscript?
Dscript. It's ridiculous. If you guys
Okay.
sign up for it, I can give you guys a link. Like, hit me up. I'll give you a link, and if you sign up under our link, I'll give you our training on how to use it. We've been messing with it for the last year and change.
Okay. Yeah.
If you go to Dscript and you look at the features, you'll see that I'm featured on their homepage, which is kind of neat. We're one of the
Nice.
product pages. Yeah, it changes. It's a complete game changer. And I'm not saying it, to try to make money selling the tool. It really has revolutionized business for us because we do a lot of interviews and do a lot of Zooms and do a lot of podcasts and do a lot of courses. And it's just been a royal pain in the butt for me the last 10 years or so, just dreading video editing. And now, this past weekend, I stayed up a bit too late just because I got excited about some of these features. I literally was using this tool that allows you to download YouTube videos. There's different tools that will let you do that. Sucking it into Dscript, having it process automatically, then repurposing that to Instagram, to blog posts, to YouTube, to our course platform. And it was a joy. I think I processed 30 videos in one day that would have taken a video editor,
Oh, wow.
20 hours each times 30 videos. I literally was processing these things almost instantly, just putting a bumper in the beginning and the end, cleaning the audio up, pulling the different highlights from when I'm interviewing other people, those instantly becoming new compositions. It really is kind of
Oh,
magical. It
wow.
makes you
I
feel
need to do this
godlike.
Dscript. I'm looking it up right
Yeah,
now.
it's like description, but it's Descript without the shun.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I've been paying a paid subscriber for Dscript for over a year, Dennis. And
Yeah,
the other amazing thing is I've seen as you've seen, they're constantly upgrading it and adding new
yeah.
features. Almost every time I open it up, there's a new version with a tweak here and a tweak there and a new feature. It's been amazing.
You know what my favorite tool was before Descript? Frame.io. I love Frame.io because it was the professional video collaboration tool. So if you have teams of people and you have videographers that are shooting the stuff, and then it has to go back to the producers, and you have multiple cameras and multiple microphones, you got to sync together, and you're doing a real feature film or whatnot, and you're doing it professionally, then Frame.io, as far as I knew the last 3 years, I thought that was mind blowing. All the features there where you could sync together these different clips and you could comment right there. And
Oh,
the
we
video
need that,
editors, well,
gentlemen.
Frame.io was my favorite.
So can Dscript? Can you all do that the same? Because we're doing this docu series, and it's almost like think of Anthony Bourdain meets
Mm-hmm.
How to Make It in America. So you have these
You'll
conversations
like it.
around
Yeah, Dscript
culture.
will handle all that.
Okay, because we
But
need
then,
we need to be able to put stuff together and not
yeah,
just load our one editor. She's like overloaded.
yeah, this is a super common issue. So you now, the reason why I like Frame.io was because of those features for video collaboration. And they also built their own native uploader. So you could go from the camera or your phone straight up to the cloud, which would otherwise take forever, trying to go to Dropbox and then importing it into these other tools. So native integration with Premiere and After Effects. So for those of you guys that like to edit video, you know what I'm talking about. It's a pain in the butt for file management, right? But then they had integration with Otter.ai, which is transcription, and you pay something ridiculously cheap, like 7 cents a minute. Or you could still go to rev.com, and what are they now? $1.25 or $2 a minute. So you have an hour of video, you got to pay $120 to get that transcribed. That's, I mean, if you've got a budget and all that, that's not really a big deal. But I'm recording a ton of videos. I did 4 podcasts today. I'm not going to pay $500 to get it transcribed. I used to get things edited through, is it can't not Campfire? What is, yeah, Campfire, and some of these other podcast editing services where they charge you $500 a month or charge you $150 an episode to get the thing edited. That way, all you have to do is record it, and they will post it to social and do some lightweight stuff. But now with Frame.io and the other integrations, which are there's tons of them, you don't even need those services. And then you move to things like Dscript, and it's even better. So I can't imagine, like right now, my favorite tool is Dscript, but I think in a year or two, it's going to be some of these other sorts of tools. If you go to my Facebook, you'll see I've been posting different videos where I'll say something and it's doing live transcription, kind of like Mike, what you're talking about in this documentary style. But then I'll go back and edit it live. I'll record it live, see the transcription pop up live as I'm saying the words, and then edit it. And I'll have ums and ahs. I'll intentionally throw in ums and ahs. I'll say, "Hey, Jeff, what's up, Mike? And I wanted to see, are you free tomorrow for dinner? People are just terrible with ums and ahs and likes, and it'll cut them all out, and I can change things around. I don't think people realize
Wow,
what's coming.
Dennis, I've spent just like going back and forth just with our first. We're doing three. We're knocking out 3 episodes. We want to pitch it to like a big platform, but we've done three. We're doing 3 episodes, and the amount of time that I've gone through and taken out mumble like the ums and the ahs and had to tell, okay, clip that out, do this, do that. I mean, I'll spend like a whole weekend on it.
Yeah, it's huge. And now you can do it in literally 30 seconds.
With
Some people are
Descript, it's
really
like
bad.
search and replace. It's like search and
Yeah,
replace in a Word document, literally.
it's incredible. Yeah. And some guests, it's embarrassing. We have a weekly paid membership that's Wednesday, which is yesterday. And some people that I interview are just terrible with the ums and ahs because maybe they didn't go to Toastmasters or whatnot. Because, people say and ah when their mind is still thinking of the next word to say, but they're still talking, right? And one guy in a 45-minute podcast, I think he had 600 filler words. How do you even get that many? I guess it's not
Dennis,
that
have
bad if
you
you think about it. It's one every 4 seconds.
have you ever interviewed a French speaker?
Native French speakers in English, yes.
So my wife is French, and so
Yeah.
of course my in-laws are French. They
Mm.
do this. They go donc je pense que like, and it's long.
Yeah. Yeah, try Dscript. It'll cut it out amazing. It'll just be incredible. You'll love it. And the other thing too is there's different time frames where you have to get stuff out. So if you're doing a podcast or a webinar or a documentary, there's stuff that can come out in a couple weeks where you have the finished product and you put it on Premiere so people know, hey, tomorrow our episode's dropping on so and so. But sometimes you want to pull out social media snippets right away. And whoever you're interviewing will want to have that the next day. And often video editors can't keep up with that because by the time the raw video footage is uploaded and they're busy working on other stuff, it's just a couple more weeks have gone by, so you miss the opportunity. So when you have tools like Dscript, you can you can pull out those compositions for social media and whatnot that are more raw to have right away. And then the full episode you can still release in a week or two. And the reason why it takes a week or two is not because there's a lot of stuff that happens inside the tool. It's because of editorial and the way you want to frame things and kind of strategy, creative decisions that you need to make that are not because some video editor is doing some low level tweaks to the files, like cleaning up the audio or color correcting or that kind of thing.
I'm so glad you joined this room. This is excellent.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come back
well,
next week and let us know what happened.
I will.
Or
I'm
just,
going to
you
do
know
it.
what? Hit me up or post it. Post a little 15-second story or reel showing what you've done. Like literally, you can go do the free trial and check it out and see what happens. I think you'll like it.
Okay, I'm
I
excited.
think it'll blow your mind and you'll wonder why you've been doing all this other stuff beforehand. They should make us paid spokespeople.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for sharing your story and good luck with this series. Jeff, you've been very patient. Did you have some thoughts on video editing or a question for Dennis?
Absolutely. So I I've been putting on. I used to put on events once a month, and then when the pandemic struck, then I would start to record them. And then
Mm,
there was this one that was a great interview, but it was an interview, so there was my face and his face and my face and his face having to go back and forth, right? So I had this video that I just was dreading the editing because his camera was angled different than mine was because
mm,
this was remote. So I got the Vegas Pro and I would like zoomed his picture in and I would cut
mm,
between them and stuff like hours upon hours just to get a. Now it's a famous guy, so I was like, okay, this is worth it, but
right.
kind of wasn't. Like it was just ridiculous. Like if I could have just pointed at something like, okay, this head here and that head there, make sure they're about the same size and the
Mm-hmm.
same frame, and like when this one's talking, have them be the one that's up in front, and when the other one's talking, have them be the one in front. Yeah, stuff like that. That would have been amazing. But anyway, I switched to weekly events, kind of pushing myself to like dominate.
Mm,
And that has gotten me a lot faster at video editing because I just like I like had to. I had to learn those the keyboard shortcuts and the
mm,
little tricks that I had been avoiding before. Because like, well, I can just click this way. I know how to do it this way.
mm-hmm.
Sort of a
Yeah.
mentality. Getting out of
Yeah.
that, but I dream of having something that's enabled that can work with like Google's Cloud Video Intelligence API and
Yeah.
have it just automatically detect the scenes for me.
Yeah.
Dream of having things like this. What you're talking about sounds really great. I've gotten down to I'll add a header at the beginning. I'll add a whatever they call I heard someone call it a bumper. I don't know
Yeah.
at the beginning of the video.
Yeah.
I'll cut out everything until the first lab starts, and then I'll cut between the two labs, and then the second lab when it's done, I'll cut at the end just at the
Yeah.
right point. And I'm down to doing a lot less um, time, but I still have this sense I want to quality control. I want to listen to the whole thing. It's like a
Yeah.
2 hour event, so it takes me at least 2 hours, to
That's Jeff.
edit it later.
That's where Dscript comes in really handy because you don't have to actually listen to the whole thing. It'll transcribe it, and then you can search for the text you're looking for. So if you knew there was a section that was talking about a certain thing, instead of the old days where you'd have to watch the whole video, and some of the good editing setups will let you fast forward and still maintain the voice so you could still understand what people were saying, so you could find the right spot. With Dscript, you do it like you're searching for something in a Word document, and then it
Mhm.
takes you right to that point in the video. So it'll save you countless hours in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's kind of like what a friend of mine was telling me about what they do on Twitch, that they'll tag the moments in a video based on
Mhm.
how the Twitch chat is blowing up. So if people are chatting a lot,
Mhm.
then they'll keep track of when that happened.
Yeah.
So that then they can automatically pull out little clips of it. But he also said there's some like heart rate monitor thing. I was like, what? I don't know if that's galvanic skin response or if they're actually doing like a real heart rate monitor. Like what are the exciting parts of this video game stream, and like that automatically clip those. Like what's the part of the movie that made people all get so scared, right? Like cut that out automatically and boom, post that out to your socials. Like the future is going to be neat with stuff like this. But
Or
those
scary.
well, yeah, yeah, definitely. So this stuff is going to be neat. I can't wait. So I think Dscript is a great step forward from your description of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and if I didn't have like, I've got. What do you suggest in this situation? I've got a lab that people are doing, and they're doing that lab, so they're watching my screen, and then there's
Mhm.
also me talking or someone else presenting. Like if you cut out the ums, you might also cut out the mouse moving to click on some important button.
That's true. So then there's an option there to eliminate word gaps or not. And plus, when people are clicking on things, sometimes you're just sitting there and waiting for something to load or something to happen. You don't want
Yeah,
people to wait there unless there's some kind of explanation that's occurring. So then you do have to look at each of those on a case by case basis and decide, do you want to eliminate the words there? If there's something that's occurring on the video? So you're right. I don't think the AI is there yet.
because that would be neat
But it's
if
coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's all coming.
of course. Like if there's no change in the screen, and there's not a loud enough sound being made, why not? Why not cut it shorter? You know, have that part be automatically fast forwarded eight speed or 4 speed, right? Like that'd be some neat things. So you could have the original version that's slow, or you could have the click for the fast one. You know,
Yeah. And
uh,
now with people that are under 30, it's okay to have jump cuts. I absolutely hate jump cuts because I think it's sloppy and whatnot, but social media has taught me that that's actually okay. And young adults, they don't want to sit and wait for the gaps in the words.
Yeah, actually, MTV was the one who really ruined us for jump cuts in the early days. They started doing all the music videos with jump cuts. Jump cuts was another thing that you would get fined for by the FCC. You could not have a video on broadcast television with a jump cut in it. That was not allowed.
Oh, shoot, I didn't know
Literally.
that.
I'm showing my age, but when I started out in the entertainment industry in 1980, things were a lot different, and it's been a lot of fun to see it shift to where we are today. We used to do a single camera. I used to produce a show called Celebrity, and we would interview a lot of celebrities, and it was a single camera shoot because I could only afford to bring one cameraman with me with a big,
Mm.
ENG camera. So what we would do is the hostess of the show was Allison Steele. She was a famous female disc jockey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Allison was the host. So she would sit and we would shoot the camera because we only had one camera with us. The camera would always shoot the celebrity that she was talking to from over her shoulder and
Hmm.
close-ups of the celebrity, and we'd only do the one camera. And then afterwards, when the celebrity wasn't there, we would shoot Allison. We'd turn the camera face her, and we would shoot her asking all the questions. So a production assistant was writing down every question that she asked the celebrity, and then we would separately shoot her asking the questions and get her reaction shots, nodding her
Mm.
head yes, shaking her head no, laughing a few times. And then when we edited it all together, you wouldn't know that we didn't have two cameras. No one would know the difference. No one ever knew. And it made it go very efficient. So today it'd be a lot easier.
Wow, that is awesome. I'd love to hear more about that sometime.
Well, Dennis, this has been another great episode of the Coach U Show. Interesting topic. It'd be interesting to come back and address this in 2 years and see how things have changed, right?
I'd love to. And we'll see the virtual Jeffrey and virtual Dennis have a virtual slap off
Well, maybe that's
with Mike and the other Jeff.
the audience doesn't know. Maybe they're talking to virtual us right now, and actually the real Dennis and Jeffrey are sitting by the pool in Vegas having a cocktail.
That's right. Well, guys, this is the Coach U Show. We'd like to cover an interesting topic every single week. Love to hear from you guys, which allows, and Clubhouse allows this sort of interaction. Love you guys being here. If you have different topics that you would like to hear about, let us know. And we're always interviewing and on the hunt for people that have really cool things to share. So that's why Jeffrey and I are here. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much for volunteering your time. Thank you for Startup Club for sponsoring all of this and putting it on the website, and the volunteers that are working behind the scenes to have the community and the content and the technology to enable us to be able to connect. So this is a completely volunteer effort. I hope you guys have value. If you or find value, if you do, then you know, follow the other people here that you like that say interesting things. And mainly, I want to thank my co-host Jeffrey, who's absolutely fantastic. He's the CMO of paw.com, so he's a super successful CMO of a well-known growing SaaS company, and I just love hanging out with him every week. So thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Dennis. The feeling is mutual. And everyone, please feel free to go over to startup.club, the website for Startup Club. You can find recordings of the Coach U Show and many other shows, and sign up for our mailing list to be kept informed. Startup Club is the largest club in Clubhouse. We're closing in on 1 million members, and we're delighted to have you among them.
Awesome. Well, good night, everybody, and so glad you're here. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jim. That's been
Dennis.
very, very grand.
Thank,
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
both.
you,
thank
Mike.
you, and
Thank you,
thank
Jeff.
everyone who participated. Take care. Bye-bye.